Hello guys, this is gonna be a review video on wildcards so that if you feel lost during your lab, you can come to this video and practice with me. I'm gonna be using the extra credit for wildcards as a general guide to do the examples in this video. So again, wildcards are all about matching patterns. We use them so that we can operate on multiple files at the same time. And we do that by creating a pattern that matches those files that we're gonna operate with. This works by using here, let me close this. This works by using the number of characters in the file. We only have three wildcards to deal with. The star wildcard that can be used to match no characters or an infinite number of characters in the name of the file. Then we can use the question mark wildcard to match only a single character in the name of the file. And we can use the brackets wildcard to match a set of files once for, it matches still one character, but one character from a set. Here is an example. So here I am listing all of the PNG files that are located inside the downloads directories. This works by simply ignoring the file name, so it doesn't matter what the name of the file is, but it makes sure that the extension in each file is PNG. In this case here, I am listing every single file that starts with the letter F, contains exactly one character between F and letter L, and then also the remaining of the file. And here I am listing all the files that contain F, and then here one character from 0 to 9. Now, what do we mean when we say it matches X number of characters, right? So what we mean is this graph over here. This star matches all of that. It doesn't matter what it says. It matters the number of the characters. It doesn't matter that it says here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I like potatoes in the night. It doesn't matter. It matters how many characters are there. So in this case, the star is matching this number of characters because I put it there at the beginning. And this star is also matching these characters over here. It's not matching that sh because that sh is part of the file name. And you can repeat the same process for the other files you see on the screen. The star character, the star wildcard can match 0 characters too. Therefore, a script underscore remover.sh is matched by this character, by this wildcard. So I'm gonna just copy this command and paste it over here in my terminal so that I can get these files here, wildcard extra practice. So let's take a look at what we have inside wildcard extra practice. So we have a ton of files here, ton of stuff. So this is pretty useful for us to practice. So let's take a look at the asterisk wildcard. List everything in the directory. Well, if we want to do that, we can do ls and star end. And this is going to list whatever directories I have inside wildcard extra practice. In my case, well, I have these empty folders here, as you can see. Next, move all of the scripts files, .sh, to the scripts directory. Okay, so first thing that I want to do is I'm going to cd into the directory, so my commands are shorter. So I'm going to cd wildcard practice. And then I want to test before I do a move, because move, it's going to move the files. I don't want to move the wrong files. I want to test my wildcard first. So I'm going to do ls, listing, it's a very nice way of testing a wildcard, star.sh. And this is supposed to give me every shell script file inside this folder. And it did. All of these are shell scripts because they finish in .sh. So now I'm going to move. So move minus v for verbosity, all the files that are shell scripts, and then I'm going to move it to scripts, which is a folder that I have inside this folder. Press enter and you can see that it moved each file to the scripts directory. And if you want to make sure, you can always open another terminal and list the scripts directory and you're going to see the same outcome. Let's see the next example. List and move all of the images files in the Wildcard Extra Practice directory. You will need to create a directory first. Okay, so we need to create a directory for that. So let's see what we have in this directory. I'm gonna sort this by file extension. I don't have an images directory, so I need to create it. mkdir images. Good. And now let's see what images do I have here. Now JPEG is an image format. PNG is an image format. WebP is an image format, and color highlighting really helps, doesn't it? So these are the files that I need to match. Okay. What do they have in common? Well, let's take a look. So I can match these ones by saying, give me everything that starts with image. Okay, let's take a look at that. Let's do clear ls eimg hyphen start. Okay, this gives me all the image files. Good. So let's move those files. mv -v image two images. Perfect. That concludes the star wildcard. Let's take a look at the question mark wildcard. So for the question mark, like I said earlier, we're matching one character at a time. And if we want to match more than one, then we need to provide extra question marks. So let's look at this example here. List all the files that contain a 4-letter file extension. So we know a file extension starts with a period. How many letters? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 question marks. And then we need to put a star at the beginning because we don't know what the name of the file is. And boom, if you see here, every single file has a 4-letter character extension. So list all the files that contain a 4-letter file extension and start with letter I. So now we're gonna modify our previous command and we're gonna say it has to start with letter I. Press enter, boom. 4 letters character extension, a bunch of stuff, and then letter I. List all the files. Oh wow, I need to fix this. This is such an ugly typo. Look at this. List all the files, Microsoft Office 365 files. Man, coffee is not hitting the right way. Let me pause this, fix that, and then come back. Okay, I fixed that, and the deployment will finish in like 5 minutes. So let's continue. I need all the Microsoft Office 365 files. So here is the thing. Microsoft Office 365 uses a 4-letter character extension. So again, I'm gonna modify the previous command. I don't care about the name of the file name, but I care that they have at least 3 characters. And then if you notice, when you save Microsoft Office 365 files, they all end with an X. So I can say 3 characters here and then ending in an X. And I don't care about the name of the file. Press enter, and this is what you get. Look, new docx, new pptx, new vsdx, new lxls, slobbers, which I don't know what the hell an slobber is, docx, springgest, docx. Make sense? I hope so. Oh wow, we don't have move commands using this. Well, it's not really different than the ones we did before. Let's create a directory, and I'm gonna call it Office 365, and I'm gonna move all of the Office 365 files to this directory. So let's do mv, give me every file that contains 3 letters in the file extension and ends in an X to Office 365. And boom, all good. Now the square bracket. Now the square bracket matches again one character, but one character from a specific set. For example, letters A to Z, which you can use the POSIX class too if you want. It's a bit more complex, so I will stay away from that if if you're not really comfortable typing all of that. And it represents A to Z, lowercase a to Z, digits, which is 0 to 9, also the entire alphabet, which is A to Z or A to lowercase z. Also, you can represent digits, alphabets, pretty much every alphanumeric character. In these particular instances, I prefer to use the POSIX class because it's less typing, but this is what it represents. We can also do white space characters. This is a tab, new line, character returns, and so on. We can also do punctuation characters, right? We can also do a space and tabs, which is, /t. You can do also hexadecimal digits, control characters too, printable characters, graphical characters, or we can do just ASCII characters. Okay, the whole 0 to 127 list of ASCII characters. Now, let's see some examples of using one from the set. List all the files that start with a capital letter. So let's do ls, and that would be A to Z, and then start, because I don't care about the rest of the file. I'm only concerned with the first letter of the file name. And notice that every file here starts with the capital letter. Now, what if I want to do the opposite? Right? Give me everything that doesn't start with a capital letter. Well, we can do A to Z, right? Or we can do the same set that we had before, but with a negation at the beginning. Oops, sorry. That's it. The bank here says everything that is not A to Z. And press enter, and boom. Every file that is going to be printed here in the output of ls does not start with an uppercase letter. Let me clear the screen here, and let's continue looking at this. List all the files that start with a capital letter and have 2 characters file extension. Okay, so let's do one condition at a time. So first of all, ls, because I'm listing, and it starts with a capital letter, so A to Z. Good. And now it has to have a 2-letter file extension. So I don't care about the remaining of the file name, right? Don't care what's there, but I'm concerned with the file extension, which starts with a period, and the number of characters with the file extension, which would be 2 question marks, because they are telling me specifically 2 characters in the extension. Press enter, and notice 2 characters in the file extension. It starts with an uppercase letter, and then it has a bunch of stuff that I don't care about in between. List all the files that contain a punctuation character in the name and a 4-letter file extension. Okay, so ls. And here we need to use a POSIX class for this because it's a very range of characters that I'm matching. So it has to have a punctuation character in the name of the file. So it can be at the beginning, it can be in the end. So I'm going to put it in between 2 stars. Punct, colon, 2 brackets. And press enter. And if you look at the output of this command, it's giving me everything that contains a punctuation character, every single thing. And notice that the only punctuation, the files here are varying because I have a punctuation character here and I have a 4-letter file extension, right? But over here, I have a 2-letter file extension and a period, which a period is a punctuation character. So now I need to make this more specific. So I only care about punctuation characters in the name, not in the file extension. So I'm going to say put a period there and give me a specific file extension, a 4-letter file extension. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this here is this wildcard here, 4-letter file extension. And then this is my punctuation search. Press enter and look at this. Underscore, underscore, underscore. Let's create another character, another file here that will match this file extension, just so we can see it in practice. So I'm gonna do touch minus index.html. Press enter. Oops, cannot create a file with that, so I'm gonna do 1 minus index.html. List it again and notice that this was matched too because this is a punctuation character. Okay, I think that's about it for the wildcards. So let's take a look at brace expansion. Now, let me clear the screen over here. Brace expansion allows us to create strings that the shell can expand and then execute that expansion in the command. For example, if you want to create 3 HTML files, right, I can do index, about, and contact.html. And you might be thinking, Professor, this is kind of dumb because can't I just do index.html, about.html, and contact.html? Of course you can, but I'm going to, let me just create a directory here. I'm going to call it test. And let's cd into test. Now here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the 3 files using the first way, which is touch file 1.html, file 2.html, and file 3.html. Right? Now I'm going to press enter over here. Now look at this. Isn't this a bit redundant? Like, look, they all start with the word file, all of them. The difference is the number, and they all have the same extension. So isn't there a better way of doing this, a way that is, quicker and more efficient? Yes. Let's use a brace expansion to solve that problem. So I'm going to create another set of characters. I'm going to call this touch my underscore file, and then here I'm gonna do a range 1 to 5. So file 1, file 2, file 4, file 3, file 5, and they all are gonna have the same file extension, which is .html. Now compare the size of this command and this command. This one has a ton of redundancy, whereas this command over here is straight into the point, and it's actually pretty easy to understand too. My file 1.html, my file 2.html, my file 3, etc. Press enter and let's take a look at what's inside this directory. See, it created file 1 all the way to file.html. But we can do also the opposite, right? So because here they have the same name, and this is what this command is doing over here. Now let me clean this directory. So if you repeat this exact command here, paste. What we're telling the shell is create me an index.html file, about.html file, and a contact.html file. And this works because we are separating it by a comma. So we are essentially feeding a list of file names to the touch command so the touch command can operate with. And you can provide more of them if you want. So we can do over here page, we can do over here error, status, and I don't know, potato, plátano, rice. I'm a little hungry. Coffee. I have a lot of that already. Enter. And notice that it will create all of those HTML files because we gave it separated by a comma. So it's a way of providing a list of files to the touch command so the touch command can execute on them. Let's look at another example. I love this one. Right? If there is one thing that I use brace expansion for a lot is to create directory structures without needing to do a lot of make directory commands. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna create a website directory that contains an asset, scripts, and extra folder. So let's clear the screen, right? So let's break apart this brace expansion. So we have a parent directory called website. So mkdir minus vp website, right? And then we have over here assets, right? This directory. So let's do the same first brace expansion here and type assets. Good. Comma. Then in the next list, please ignore this because this is all inside assets. You can see by the backslash there. In the next comma, this comma over here, we have scripts. So let's do scripts. And then, again, we're going to ignore this part. We have extras, okay? Extras. That is the first expansion right there. Press enter over here. And notice that it created asset scripts and extra. So if we do 3 website, it will create those 3 directories. Now I'm going to remove the file, the directory, because I'm not done. And I'm going to go back to the make directory command. Now we have another layer of expansion, and it is right over here under assets and under scripts and under extras. So under assets, we're going to create images and audio. So it's going to go, let me make this a bit bigger. So we go 1 set, 2 set, and then the last one. And notice that I'm putting it right before the comma, because a brace expansion expects a list of separated values by a comma, right? So value 1, 2, and 3. And now in here, I can do another expansion right in here. And then inside assets, what I am creating is, let's go over here, images and audio. So IMGS and audio. And then inside the scripts, I'm creating JS and Python. I'm going to just do PY because everybody knows PY is Python. And then I'm going to do docs and helper. Docs and helper. Press enter over here and boom. Do a 3. And notice that it indeed created the directory structure how we expect it to be created. Let's go over here. Good. Now there is another nice usage of the wildcard, of the brace expansion. And I'm going to go home to show you. I'm going to do a list, wildcard extra practice. And let's say that in this directory, wildcard extra practice, I want to remove index.html and I want to remove file1.py. So if I were to do it the traditional way, the way that you already know, I would have to do wildcard extra practice and then do index page.html, and then I'm going to have to do wildcard extra practice again and do file1.py. But if you notice at this is a bit redundant because I can also just do this. You put a comma in here and use brace expansion. And I can do remove inside wildcard practice index page.html and file1.py and press enter, and it works. And it works for the other commands too, because again, remember, I am giving a list for the remove command to operate with, right? And so the entire script, the entire line here becomes wildcard extra practice index.html and then a second string called wildcard extra practice file1.py. So if we, for example, do it with, let's say, let's create 2 folders inside wildcard extra practice, mkdir minus vp and wildcard extra practice, and we're going to call it games, and then we're going to call the other one homework, right? Press enter, and you notice that it ran twice. mkdir ran the first time to create games, and it ran the second time to create homework. Okay. And that's about it. That covers the wildcards. This extra credit, if you are doing it, has some challenger questions that you can challenge yourself with over here. But it also has the solution there, so you don't have to go crazy figuring things out. At the end of the day, this is practice, right? If you're going to be doing challenge practice 1 and you were following this with me, right? I suggest that you remove the wildcard extra practice directory and then you run the script one more time so that you have a clean slate. So let's go all the way up and run the script one more time. This script here one more time so that you have a clean slate. And that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. You know how to reach me.